We're here at Jazz Live San Diego with Drew Miller of Euphoria Big Band.
Hey.
It's not Euphoria Big Band, it's Euphoria Brass Band.
Yes,
Drew, welcome to Jazz Live San Diego.
Thank you, Vince. Appreciate it.
Great to have Euphoria back at Jazz Live San Diego. Let's run down the members of Euphoria Big Band just to get things started.
Sure. So we've got Ron Boshin on the snare drum, who hails from New Orleans, Louisiana. Spent, 17 years or so there, I believe. And he brings that on authenticity to the percussion of the group. Wayne Rice on tuba, otherwise known as the sousaphone, the one you wear. And we've got J.P. Belmont, multiple reeds, the baritone sax, the alto sax, the clarinet. We've got the talented Steve Ebner on trumpet, the wonderful and lovely April West on that trombone, David Jackson, tenor saxophone, and William Driscoll, Bill Driscoll, the Anomaly, playing some guitar and trombone as well. So it's a 8-piece conglomeration. I'm the bass drummer, the guy who shouts absurd things throughout the course of tunes, and kind of the ringleader, I guess you might say. And of course, we got special guests. Can we talk about special guests?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about your guests tonight. It's really fun to have new people joining your band, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely. Sue Palmer, she's been doing some things with us. She did a recording with us not too long ago. She's going to do 4 or 5 songs with us tonight, which is wonderful. Sue is just an amazing San Diego treasure musically, and an honor to have her with us this evening. The great Leonard Patton, throwing down some wonderful vocals this evening. And this guy, we all know he's one of the best in San Diego. So it's been unique. We've had him on some high-end gigs that we've done in the last, say, 8-9 months, and it's been sensational. So we figured, why not? Let's just kind of blow this baby up tonight and have a real extravaganza.
Excellent. So the trajectory kind of EBB,
Sure.
I was just looking at your releases. You've got recordings from 2012 with Coast to Coast, 2013, In Step with Tradition, and then last year's Ebb and Flow.
Yeah.
When you guys started Euphoria Brass Band, did you really have any idea that you were going to be laying down this recorded legacy of this music?
Not so much. I think it all started out as a bit of a pipe dream, honestly. Ron Boshin from New Orleans had moved out here and heard that I was a DJ here at the station, and so he started listening to my program and fell in love with the fact that it was New Orleans for an hour on Saturday nights, and that was very cool for him. It kind of reminded him of home, WWOZ. So he reached out via a fellow drummer in town, who hipped him to my contact info, and Ron got a hold of me, and we talked a little bit, had coffee. He shared a bunch of great music with me, and he talked about, one day a brass band in San Diego would just be like the best. I go, man, I'll be your bass drummer if this ever comes to fruition. 8 months later, we just started this thing up. I started making phone calls, through the contacts from the station here, calling Steve Ebner, and I knew JP from my daughter's school. And anyway, next thing you know, we got this band together and started rehearsing in David Bandrowski's garage, who's a great guitar player from New Orleans. He's since moved back. And then we moved over to the Mission Bay High School band room, and the thing just blossomed real quick. And so, initially we just thought, well, we'll do a couple one-offs and have some fun with this thing. It was more just a labor of love. The next thing you know, this city really resounded and resonated with what we were doing.
So then, since your program here on Jazz 88 on Saturdays, name of the show?
The Second Line Parade.
Second Line Parade was somewhat of a catalyst for putting this together. How did you get in love and enamored with this type of music enough to put together a show about it?
I'd been at the station about 2 years, was doing a Monday jazz show in the afternoons, and had gone down to New Orleans with my wife in '96, and she was born there. So her mom took us down. It was her first time back, I believe, my wife's first time back since she was a little kid, and my first time there in '96. And I immediately just fell in love with the city, the food, the culture, the music, the whole 9 yards. And it was one of those places where you go and you go, wow, I've been here in a previous life or something. It was that strong of a feeling. And so being the music junkie that I am, I'm sure we can all relate to it as DJs here, I just started buying all this music at Louisiana Music Factory and some of the stores in there, and I think I brought back $500 worth of music, in a suitcase, and came up to Joe Cokerhans when I got back, said, and I knew he loved New Orleans too. I said, wouldn't a New Orleans show be cool? He goes, do it. And I said, I got to have carte blanche. I got to be able to play everything, not just jazz, but funk and rhythm and blues and zydeco and Cajun. You guys do it. Just have fun with it. So,
Well, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
Euphoria Brass Band plays that New Orleans traditional brass band style,
Right.
but you also bring in, as you were just saying,
Right.
some of that whole other thing.
Yeah.
How do those other styles, the funky, the beats kind of thing, how do those all relate to that traditional New Orleans brass band style?
Well, traditionally it was the music of the community way back in the late 1800s. It came out of the Civil War and the European horns with the African drums and all that kind of coming together, and a little different in New Orleans than the other places in the country, in that there was that African influence rhythmically. So it was something different and special. And from what I've read, Louis Armstrong, all those guys that Sidney Bechet, all the old, early 1900 musicians started out in brass bands, and jazz kind of came out of that, So the music over the years changes as it does, and the music of the day gets incorporated into a particular genre. So as things progressed and the years went by, and R&B became popular in pop music, that gets influenced or brought into the sound. Funk, now hip hop, little this, little that, bounce, all that stuff's being incorporated into the music as it gets moved on and kind of taken to the next level. So all that stuff's getting in there and melting pot and all that. So it's not weird, to hear funk in there. Rebirth Brass Band, all those bands do it all the time. So we've done something different in the song "What I Got," the Sublime tune. That's certainly a different. So it's a West Coast thing,
Right,
We're trying to say, hey, we're a West Coast band playing New Orleans style music, but we want to use our influences in there. So that's been a big one for us.
So that seems to be just even that kind of thing seems to be something that's really happening in jazz these days. Is really bringing in the pop music of today.
Sure.
Which is a part of that whole jazz tradition, to bring in the music, influence it, add the improvisational thing to it. And that seems to be something that you guys have really grasped onto and are trying to do too.
Definitely. And JP's got such a wonderful ear and a wonderful composer. I mean, he's been writing some great stuff that is so much fun to play. And so he's listening a lot, and he's feeling some of this stuff creep into what he's playing and then writing. And so then as a band, we get together and start working this stuff up. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, well, there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's just been a ball.
So that's a real, another kind of aspect of this is the original composition part.
Sure.
Bringing in new compositions and writing your own stuff for this band.
Yeah.
You talked about J.P. Balmont.
Mm-hmm.
He's an educator, so he's interacting with kids,
Right.
students. And so, can you tell us a little bit about how education plays a role? We talked, J.P. Balma is a teacher at Mission Bay High School,
Correct.
and he's got a band, a traditional band. Tell us a little bit about that, what you know.
I think it's important. We want to do what it seems was been done in New Orleans since day one is offer this music to the next generation, to the community. The second line tradition in New Orleans is typically a free community-based party, on foot as they make their way through the streets of New Orleans. A social aid and pleasure club hires a brass band to come out and propel the parade, the second line parade. And so to be able to go to schools and share this music, and we've done this here in San Diego. We just did it in San Jose, where we take it to high schools, junior high schools, and share this tradition with them. And I'll tell you, they're not ready for it. They see all these horns and go, okay, this is stuff my parents listen to or grandparents listen to, and next thing you know, there's this funky stuff coming down there, jaws drop, and suddenly the kids are running up at the end saying, how do you do that? And I want to do that, and tell me more about this music. So we're big proponents of sharing the knowledge that we've gathered and tossing it off to encouraging these kids to look up these brass bands online, check out the New Orleans music, check out this tradition. It's a living, breathing, organic tradition that's still vital.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one other thing about the Euphoria Brass Band is these are musicians who are playing in other bands and are doing other kind of music. Can you kind of touch on some of the other band members and the
Sure.
ensembles that they play in here in San Diego.
Absolutely. April West with Sue Palmer for a number of years, a Motel Swing Orchestra, and she's well loved, and rightly so. She's definitely a centerpiece of our band. At the end of every show, people flock up to her and say, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing!" You know, she really is. She's fantastic. So she's been doing that for quite a long time. She plays Latin music with other bands around town as well. Steve Ebner, the same thing. The Jazz 88 All Stars, of course, for Steve Ebner, trumpet. Some Latin music as well. He and April play in the Latin genre from time to time. Ron Boshin and JP have a band called the Red Foxtails, which I know you're familiar with them. Kind of a psycho surf jazz type of sound that's unclassifiable and very cool. So they got that going on. David Jackson, he's been playing tenor sax around town for years and years and years. A longtime buddy of mine. We used to work together at Licorice Pizza Records in Pacific Beach.
Nice.
Back in the 80s.
That's going back.
That's going way back. So he's been playing ever since I've known him, and he's a monster. You know, there's no doubt about it. Wayne Rice, rather, classically trained tuba player, who's a big love of New Orleans as well, has brought him to the forefront of us when we needed a tuba player because we'd lost the first one, and suddenly here's this guy who was just like, that's him. This is the guy we need. It wasn't even a question. So he does a lot of cool playing with other bands too.
So where does Euphoria Brass Band play? What kind of events are you guys playing at?
Well, a lot of festivals. The festival circuits, Idlewild, Long Beach, San Diego, they've seemed to latch on to what we do. Lately, it's been Mexico. Mexico has fallen in love with the Euphoria thing. So we're just really, really ecstatic about that. We've been treated so well down there.
Brass is big in Mexico, in that kind of music. That's
absolutely. Great. So Ensenada Jazz Festival, we've done the Mexicali Jazz Fest, and we're doing the Tijuana Jazz Fest coming up in a few months. We do clubs, we do restaurants, we do corporate events and weddings. So the whole plethora, basically. And we're just hoping to make it to that next level and hit some of these bigger festivals and maybe do a tour next summer, or this summer rather, if at all possible. Maybe a West Coast little tour and just see where this thing goes, you know.
Excellent. Well, tell folks where they can find out more about you and connect up with you.
Absolutely. So euphoriabrassband.com. You can check out basically the history of the band. It's short history so far, but there's some cool stuff there, some sound bites and videos and all that good stuff. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places where you can follow us and join the parade. We invite you to do so. euphoriabrassband.com and all those other avenues and outlets to check out what we do.
Excellent. Well, Drew, it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Same
Great to know you. Good luck with your show here on Jazz 88. What again is that show?
Second Line Parade, Saturdays at 7 p.m.
Excellent. And with Euphoria Brass Band. It's an honor to have you guys again here at Jazz Live San Diego. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it, Vince. Thank you so much. Love this station.
Good.
All right.
Bye.